I want to start out like this. Since we're in this, they say we're in the age of Aquarius. This is a new paradigm. When you did that lecture, we were supposed to be in the age of Pisces.
We're coming
So
out of the age of
yeah,
Pisces.
yeah, exactly. We was coming out of the age of Pisces. So we're
Mhm.
talking about light code transmissions,
Mhm.
light information coming to us. We're like we're getting information. We're getting downloads constantly.
Right.
To start out with, Doc, when you did that lecture,
Hmm.
I don't know what year it was, but when you did that, what was
Yeah.
that? About what? About what would you
Like
say?
80, 89, 90, I think, somewhere around that time.
89, 90, and this is 2022, family. So we're talking about light code transmissions.
Mhm.
Was the light during the age of Pisces that we was coming out at that time, was it different from the light that we're getting now? Are we getting a whole new transmission now from a light source now? Maybe the light source is different, so it's more easy to tap into what you were talking about, Doc.
Well, let's look at it this way. It was like a dimmer,
A dimmer. Ooh.
and the dimmer was very slowly as we came into the knowledge, as people were able to wake up. There were certain people who were given the task to till the soil, the mental soil of those who were to receive it. So many of us, like Bobby and Dr. Blair, we were tasked with absorbing the information and even trying our best to decipher it as much as possible and working as hard as we can to simplify the knowledge, because I was taught by elders that the complexity of what it is you are trying to break down, unless you get it to the people the way they're able to actually encompass it, then it'll just go right over their heads and you'll be actually talking to yourself. So an elder told me that, you have very profound information you're teaching, but you're talking to yourself. You have to hone what it is that you're studying, because you were given the task to understand and overstand what you're studying, and now you have to impart that properly. So Bobby, I remember, and we used to speak about what it took to teach. What is it that we were given so much of? What we were privileged to have, that inner sight to read and to be inspired to read, to go back to the information that the Europeans had stolen and tried to codify through their own language to benefit themselves. We had to take that and read between the lines, knowing that whatever it is that we were reading from them were actually the ancestors using them as gatekeepers for our knowledge so that we could re-inherit it and give it another meaning, give it a greater meaning for those who were going to come in the future. So when I began to study, I had to do all the things to prepare myself to be able to understand what it is that I was tasked in my contract to teach, my spiritual contract. So I had to do all the little things. I went to all the libraries up and down the coast. I joined different secret organizations, the Theosophy Lodge. I joined the Masons. I joined the Rosicrucians. I joined all of these people, got what I needed, and left. And they were hiding some very profound information that they only gave to those that they initiated. And so, what I was supposed to do was to be a kind of floating apparition that went in, listen to what was going on, see what they had, take all the books that they had stolen, read through it, which I did. I took a speed reading course, which allowed me to read over 3,500 books. And that was nothing compared to the people who are really master speed readers who read thousands of books in a month or 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year. So it helped me to absorb tons of information that it would have taken me much more years to be able to decipher. And so when I got to that, I began to condense it and say, something, it's coming through. And I was into this place of inspirement, and I've said, these are codes that I'm downloading. These are codes that are to be broken. And so because they were coming from the mind, because they were in my mind to be able to be deciphered through the audio words, I call them the light code transmissions. And so from that point, I began to put together little vignettes of what I could decipher, but not to make it too easy. I told people if you wanted to learn what it is I knew, make sure you get a dictionary because I'm not going to mince the words. The European changes dictionaries with every generation that they want to dumb down. So to take words out of the dictionary that would then give you an idea of how they are communicating with each other or how they don't want to communicate with you. So I tell people you need to learn Greek and you need to learn Latin. I came out of the Catholic Church, so I knew a little bit of Latin, and I followed that path because a lot of the words in English language dovetails from these old languages, the European language, but from the Greek. If you look at it in the dictionary, it's either from the Greek, it's from the Old English, or it's from the Latin. So when I began to study, I began to decipher the information and say that you have to prepare your first eye and prepare yourself to deal with these incoming codes. The sun is one of the greater download. It's a computer holding information that it gives through certain sunspots. When the sun has sunspots, it's actually projecting information for download. It's saturating the atmosphere so that those who are sensitive to the light codes would then get downloads. And then a lot of people would call me and tell me, wow, I understand what you mean. We were back in 1984, 83, 84, we were the ones that were actually doing sun gazing. You
Mm,
ask my students back then, we would be in the botanical gardens in
mm,
Brooklyn, and I would take my class there and I taught them how to sun gaze. Now, today, it's the biggest thing going
mm,
around with Europeans. We were doing that because our ancestors did that.
mm,
And we
mm,
knew about the sun gazing because it cleansed the spiritual palate. It
mm.
cleansed the first eye conduits so that we could take in more light.
Saying that, Doc, does the light from the sun power the planet, or does the light from the melanated beings on the planet power the sun?
That's interesting. It's an exchange. The
Mm,
sun is essentially a computer.
mm.
So is the moon. Matter of fact, there's a movie coming
Okay.
out. Yeah, there's a movie coming called Moonfall or something like that, where they show you that the moon is actually a ship or some kind of hollowed out thing with a monster inside of it. Anything to get you distracted. But
Mm,
these two vessels of consciousness are there to give humanity the steps towards or the guidance towards a higher revelation,
mm,
a
mm,
redemption that essentially redeems the cellular body and takes it out of the hell, which is third density,
mm,
takes it out of that compression zone and begins to change the cellular programming so that the new body matches the dimension to which we are ascending. And
mm,
of course, we are, like I say, super seniors because we're stuck here. The
mm,
Pope, different religions, they suppress your spirituality so that they can get you into a religious frame of mind, which then pretty much turns you into a slave.
mm, mm. When you when we talk about light and we talk about, when we built our great civilizations, the first thing everybody think about is Kemet. Then when you look at the European, and the European had a fast rise with his civilization as far as how he came up with America, whatever. It's fast but short. It came up fast, but it's on a decline real fast. We
Yeah,
had dynasties that last tens of thousands of years,
indeed.
but we're two different beings. Um, some people say we're the nine ether beings, they're the six ether beings. But do we both use the same light source? We use that light source for good. They use their light source. Hitler to say this plain, is Hitler using the same light source as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? We're both tapping into the same light force source, but we're just requalifying the light source because it's a neutral energy. So that energy depends on us and the intent to qualify it and tell it what it is. Are we both using the same light source that we call God or whatever?
Yeah, the European has what came out of the well, his sleep,
Mm,
and started to conquer nations that were on the path towards where we are headed today. And
mm,
what they did was jack information that took thousands of years to develop to this point. And what he did was rifle through tens of thousands of documents and secret ledgers and scientific journals that ancient civilizations had put down. He destroyed them and took them back to the Vatican and to different places that he sequestered them so that he could study them. The reason why his rise is so, so precipitous was because he had a stepping stone. He had
mm.
all the information that he conquered and stole.
Right, right.
So he was not any smarter than anybody else. In fact, he is very dangerous because he is very technically advanced but spiritually moronic. And what happens is when you don't have the spiritual component matching the intellectual component, then you have this imbalance. You have this addiction to what we call progress. Progress is an addiction. You have to do better so that you can have that bottom line for your investors. So you have to have the next gimmick. Meanwhile, you're becoming so technologically proficient that your spirituality and the things that keep you human, listen to what I'm saying, the things that keep you human, the time is necessary for you to rest, the time that's necessary for you to meditate. When do you have that? Your television is on 24 hours. You're working 12, 24 hours. You have no time to be still and know that I am. You have no time for stillness, and stillness is where intelligence lies. You can be smart as hell,
Mm,
but thoughts essentially need to have the soil of intelligence wherein they must plant the seeds that thought gives so that intelligence grows, not just your intellect, not just the things that dovetail from a runaway intellect. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a runaway intellect, and you're looking at what it is that people who are addicted to their intellect
mm.
and the power, the pseudo power it gives to them, they want to maintain that. That's why they have this need to be constantly ahead, conflicting, always looking for war, always looking to substantiate themselves as leaders and the ones who rule.
Mm, mm.
See, because he can't go beyond this particular flesh. That's why he has to create things to cover the flesh, to enhance. He has to have put on artificial melanin. That's what Iron Man is. Iron Man is hiding behind a suit that nothing but artificial melanin. Like
Woo.
everybody else, you look at everything in television today. Everybody is putting on these suits that's giving them hyper this and hyperhuman. They're not using the original technology, which is your body and your mind and the first eye. They're not using that technology because they're deficient in it. They're deficient in something that you are richly blessed with, and a lot of our brothers and sisters. It's called melanin. And melanin is an intelligence. It's not a pigment. It's an intelligence that has been put into stasis.
Well, one of the things you said in light coach transmissions. Once again, family, me and Doc are doing two shows leading up to his next workshop. So I want to take this time. I see we got almost 2,000 people in the room right now. That Doc is doing a part two to the workshop he just did. So I want to let y'all know that this metaphysical information is totally tied in with what's going on right now. So what we like to do before he goes into the censored information that's banned from YouTube, all of the stuff he's going to kick on the workshop is banned from YouTube, but we need to give you a metaphysical context to why, because they understand metaphysically what's going on, but we don't. So this is the why they're doing what they're doing. We have to understand the what. Well, why the fuck are they doing all of that? Why are they going that hard? There's a reason why the melanin, the this, the light codes, the this, they know all of this. They got conferences on melanin every year. So this is the why, to get you to understand why they're doing what they're doing. And during the workshop, he's going to explain what's going on and how to protect yourself. So shout out to Doc with the workshop. I'm going to share the link once again in the chat. I just put the link in the chat for the part two to the workshop Doc just did. Like I said, if you did the workshop, you have any questions, the information to contact him is in the description. Phone number 800-847-1291 is right in the description. Please don't ask me to write it down because it's right in the description, family. Just look in the description and it's right there. What I want to ask you, Doc just touched on melanin in light code transmissions, Dr. Valentine. You said melanin is a geometric matrix of light designed to align the 360 specific light codes for the actualization of the new consciousness. Right. So could you elaborate on what you on that statement right there?
Melanin is an intelligence. I did the Melanin conference in Chicago about 10 years ago with Bobby, 20 years ago with Bobby, and all of the brothers like Dr. Richard King, Dr. Carol Barnes, and we had a Melanin conference also at Medgar Evers. I'm sorry, I got a child abduction alert here. Sorry about that, family. So I did a Melanin conference at Medgar Evers also with Dr. Ann Brown, another person who I think is one of the more astute and extremely intelligent elders who actually worked and wrote a book called Why Darkness Matters. She and two other doctors wrote a book, Why Darkness Matters, and it's all about melanin and what it means and what it does. And they were saying about its organizational, it's like an organizational molecule, and everything that you are, everything that your eyes, every part of you is based in melanin, because melanin essentially holds the programming for what it is that it's creating in the physical body, in the physical flesh. So melanin is, for me, not just a particle or a molecule, it's an intelligence. And I married that information with Dr. Gabriel Oyibo's information about Gagut, Gij, comma J equals 0, God Almighty's grand unified theorem. And what I found out from him was everything breaks down into the hydrogen molecule. If you look at the periodic table, hydrogen is first. It's the one atom, it's the one particle that essentially is the precursor to everything that comes into the physical flesh. So here's what I did. I married what melanin was to what Dr. Gabriel Oyibo spoke about. And I said that melanin is actually an intelligence. It's actually the hydrogen atom folded over onto itself and becoming melanin. Melanin is the expressed intelligence of the hydrogen atom. And so therefore, if that is the original, if the hydrogen particle is the original, and the original inside of the womb, when that seed is fertilized, the first thing that begins to start forming are dark little spots, little pieces of melanin to begin to formulate that entity, white, black, brown, all of it. It's still melanin as the basis. Your genetics now tells you how much you're going to have of it expressed on the surface, or how much of it that you're not going to have, depending on what your genetics are and where you come from, where your body has been. Excuse me a minute. I'm going to shut this thing down.
No doubt. Take your time, Doc.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. All right.
So, as I said, melanin itself is an intelligence. It's more than an intelligence. My further studies revealed that it is a superconductor. It also acts as a semiconductor. So, as an intelligence, it formulates and transmits and absorbs the light codes and then becomes the estuaries to actually give information to your genetics, which then gives information to your blood. So, melanin, those who are blessed with it richly, have the capabilities to get into very heavy spiritual traveling. You can do time travel just through you understanding how to lock the melanin that you'll have into the blood. But right now, all the food that you're eating, all the food you're eating, all the water and the crap that you're drinking, all the pollution you're breathing, it has put the active components, spiritual components in the melanin molecule that are consciousness transporters. It has put it into stasis. You do not eat, you do not sleep, you do not rest, you do not meditate, you do not do the things for this technology to advance. You're doing everything for this technology to advance. You're constantly giving yourself over to something that is taking your place. This has become the new transducer of information for you, but it is tricking you because the one in charge of it, the one who is absorbing the information and putting it into a intelligence that is artificial, that now becomes the first eye. AI is the pineal for the beast. Let me say that again.
AI, yeah, AI is the go ahead, right, brother.
AI is the pineal for the beast.
Mm.
It will get into everything and begin to become sentient to the point where you will be interfaced with it and your instructions will be downloaded directly into your mind so that your thoughts are no longer your own. And so, therefore, you are going to be part of, or you will be a symbiote. And that's what they're training you. They're training little girls, little boys. The first thing a mothers do is just give them a cell phone. Right then, you turn her into a cyborg.
Do you think this generation of, like all the kids got iPads and computers, is this worse than the previous generation during the age of a Pisces who was addicted to television? Because all the kids was addicted to TV, Barney, all them Rugrats, all them. Is it the same level of program, or do you feel as though this one is worse? Because all of it is AI, the TV, computers, or whatever. Is this one worse? You feel?
Well, it was part of an incremental process. From the time when television used to be off at midnight. I don't know if you're old enough to even remember that. I remember when you couldn't look at TV past 11 or 12 o'clock. All you would be getting is some kind of screen that just says, you're out, good night or goodbye.
I
And then,
heard about
and it
that.
wakes up again 6 o'clock.
I heard
Yeah,
about
that's when,
that.
yeah, that's when we came up.
I heard about that.
Yeah, then you had to go and read, you had to go to sleep, you had to listen to music. It was a whole other paradigm. And what they did, and this is the slick part, the television back then worked on the theta waves. That's what your antennas were back in the day. Theta waves essentially is what your AI is using because theta waves are the frequency upon which thought operates.
Mhm.
So they put the televisions today are broadcast in a theta wave frequency.
Mhm.
That's why it can download information into your mind so that it bypasses all the programming that the light codes would normally give to you naturally. The televisions that we look at, the screens like we're looking at right now, that thing begins to erode away at the ability for you to process light codes. Because what it does is it does not, it doesn't, when you're looking at a movie or you're looking at the television screen, there is no filter.
Mhm.
Okay, your discrete your censoring filter shuts down and it goes directly into your subconscious.
Mm. You know what I want to ask you real quick, Doc? Um when you get into the spiritual information, there's all types of rules. You got to meditate like this, meditate like that. Don't eat, sit up, shitty rat. When the beast, the parasitic elite programs us, we're not sitting. I'm not sitting erect like this. I'm not doing a mantra. I just ate. You know what they call they call prime time television when they're doing the programming the most. I just ate. I'm not me. I'm talking collectively, but I just ate some ribs, some macaroni. I'm talking collectively as humanity. I ate some macaroni, ribs, whatever, whatever, some rice, whatever, whatever. After that, they're programming me after that. After that bullshit I just ate.
Right.
The conscious New Age community says, well, to program yourself, you have to sit like this and you can't eat. They programming us after eating shit. So why is it that we're so easily, what is it about, after a full meal, we're like this, and
Right.
it's just easily coming into us, like easily. There's
Yeah.
no resistance. It's easily, the downloads are easily coming into us. But when we get spiritual, we're like, no, 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 don't eat before you meditate. But the way they do their programming is they say, okay, these niggas is eating dinner at 8. So I'm gonna put the best shows on at 8:30 after they eat. Then I got these niggas. So it
Right.
seems like we got two different methods, Doc.
Well,
Talk
yeah,
to me about that.
well, have you noticed that every time a commercial comes on, the volume seems to go up?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. Why? It's not the volume going up, it's the amperage being pushed through at the
Mm-hmm.
time to
Mm-hmm.
get your attention. You
Mm-hmm.
watch children and you could see the reactions that we have automatically, subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
Children are a good barometer for what television does to the mind. And children essentially have today, the children today are caught up on themselves. Young people today are all about me, 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 me. That's because of what the television is doing. That's
Mm-hmm.
because of what it is. They're not having the family time, the time to be able to talk and to learn how to communicate
Mm-hmm.
with family members. So the only communication they have is with this thing, this iPad. And I have in my webinar coming up, they have these young children who are saying, "I will die if I don't have my iPad." Really? I saw 48 different series. I stood and watched it all the way through. Why are you outside playing? What happened to you being outside? I remember my parents used to drop kick us as soon as we got in. They couldn't wait for us to get out of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and we couldn't wait to get out to have a good time to play. Well, what is happening today at this particular time is that we are being robbed of our humanity. We are no longer empathetic to what humans are about. We know what we have to have our rights, we want our freedoms, we want all of these things, but we want superficial things. Today there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have to be sacrificed to get what we want, what's going to come out of this. I know I'm saying things, I don't want to get too deeply into it until we get into Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But but we are not taking enough time to meditate on what it is that we know really matters, because what we think matters has been programmed into us to actually aggrandize the flesh and not the mind and the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have um, an attention span for the spirit. We go to
I agree.
church, we go to church, and we praise the Lord and we shout hallelujah. We even go and get yoga and we think we're doing all these little distractions, but we're not studying what it takes to advance spiritually. And
Mm-hmm.
the light code transmissions that you're speaking about, um, I know some people they're telling me that I got a call today that they said that they saw them when you put it up, the light code transmissions. They went to look for light code transmissions on YouTube, and they said that everything that was being said there in that was relevant today.
Yes.
Well,
Yes. Yes.
it will be relevant
Yes.
tomorrow and ever and forever. Why? Because it doesn't have anything to do with what it is that everybody is addicted to now.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Mm-hmm.
the path that everyone must assign themselves to, the discipline to actually follow something other than an authority that tells you, here's what you must do while you're in the flesh. Once you are no longer addicted to what they want you to be addicted to,
Mm-hmm.
once you are no longer part of the education system that
Mm-hmm.
is warping our children's mind, once you take them out of school and teach them yourself,
Yes, sir.
now you're on the path. They have no more power.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you aggrandize them, the more you are fearful. That's the big one. The more you show fear, the more they will then coach and encroach upon that part of you that
Doc,
dispute.
Doc,
Mhm.
since we're light beings, what happens? And I don't think nobody can explain this like you. So I'm glad you're here to explain this, because we live in a paradigm of fear where we're constantly being bombarded with police brutality videos, us dying on cameras, being brutalized,
Right.
all types of shit. Um, what happens on a cellular level? Our light, our light cells or whatever, when we induce with fear, when we're fearful, what's going on the inside of us when we're induced with fear?
Everything constricts.
Okay. Like
Blood flow,
tightens,
yes,
tightens.
blood flow, and there is a secretion of adrenaline
Mm-hmm.
that comes
That's,
from the top of your kidneys, the adrenal glands. That's the fight or flight.
that's the cortisol.
Yeah, that's the cortisol.
Okay.
And it's poisonous.
Yes.
And because it's poisonous, it becomes a stimulant to get you to be stronger, to fight or run.
Mm-hmm.
However, we're not running and we're not fighting. And so the poison stays within us
Mm-hmm.
and poisons the body, poisons the blood, so that your kidneys are affected, your lungs are affected, your heart is certainly affected.
Mm-hmm.
And what has happened now is because that poison that has not been come out in your sweat from running or fighting,
Mm-hmm.
it stays in the system.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so if a bear tries to attack me and the cortisol rushes through my body, it
Right.
comes out of my body by me running or fighting because I'm
Right.
sweating. But
Yeah.
you're saying since we're using it in an everyday instance, it doesn't come out our body.
No, you're
So
fearful, but you're grinding your wheels and nothing's happening inside.
oh shit. I never heard it. Okay, okay, Doc.
Right.
All right.
It's like putting your car in neutral and hitting the gas.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
hear all those
Makes sense.
noise and revving, but it
Yeah,
ain't going nowhere.
yeah.
So now that turns into a poison and it goes directly into your brain,
Man.
shutting down your pineal. So fear causes you
Mm,
to lose. In other words, it's a if you've ever noticed when the lions hunt, say a gazelle and catch them,
mm,
the gazelle runs, fights, well, fights it for its life, but then there's a point where it just surrenders. It's at that point that it's adrenal or the adrenochrome that these people take. It's at that point that the animal goes into a euphoric state. Death is euphoric.
mm,
And that euphoric state numbs or nulls all the pain
mm.
as death comes in.
Ooh.
So nature has provided in this hostile environment, because remember, this hostile environment that we had condemned to is essentially about consuming, hunting, killing
Yes,
in
yes,
order to survive.
yes.
That's not divine. We are condemned. This is something we chose to do. We are here to spiritualize matter. Matter is supposed to be spiritualized. That's our task. We are here to spiritualize matter
How do you do that, Doc? How do you spiritualize matter?
by the mind. Remember, matter follows mind. Where is your mind? What type of mind are you using while you're in this vessel?
But Doc, well, this is what I'm saying. If
Mhm.
I eat a cheeseburger or whether I eat a vegan burger, isn't it both spiritualizing matter? Because it's both the mind thought of both of those. So
No, but
isn't it just a matter of perspective
but
about
you have to
spiritualizing matter?
know, because you're occupying a machine. If you're
Mhm.
driving a car and you're putting sugar in the tank, does the tank have to have sugar for the car to go?
No, sir.
No, you wouldn't be able to travel far if you just put sugar into your gas tank.
Mm,
Well, the
mm,
stuff you put into your system numbs your capabilities while you're in the avatar to
mhm.
match up with your spiritual side.
Excellent,
You
excellent,
see,
excellent.
remember your blood is a liquid crystal.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
as a liquid crystal, if you do not purify it, then what's running through your pineal is filth. Your pineal is
mm.
shut down. In fact,
Yeah.
when they talk about calcification of your pineal, it's not that it's calcifying based upon a whole lot of calcium coming around it. No, it turns into a gooey, flaccid material. If you know, as far as reproduction is concerned, when the lingam or the penis is flaccid, ain't nothing happening.
Mhm,
When you have raised your pineal gland, there is no calcification. there is a crystallization. Big difference. Calcification is a form of crystallization, but it is not the purification like the purified type like the quartz crystal. When you raise the pineal now, there's a big crack in the sixth chakra. Okay, that's the thunder. That's the parting of the west, the earth opening up when
Mm.
Christ was crucified. Remember when they talked about Christ was crucified, that the
Mm-hmm.
earth tore asunder?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what happens because crucifixion is a crossification. It's when the Ida and the Pingala shut down, and the Kundalini rises and then cracks. That's that crack you get in your neck before Kundalini rises to the last stage, which is the seventh chakra. And that's when it lights the lamp of God that taketh away the sin or ignorance of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have filth in your system and your blood is poisoned, which is why they are doing what they're doing to your bloodstream with that needle,
Mm-hmm.
it is to shut down any connection to the pineal and to make sure that the light codes do not have a point of reference to manifest. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when the pineal is when the pineal is raised up, it means that the cave of Brahma, which is dark, wherein sits that particular thing, that the pineal, which looks like the head of a penis, by the way, when it does rise and it begins to get hard, so to speak, it rotates back
Mm-hmm.
and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, there is a phosphine or a sparks that go off inside of the cave, and there is this the yogis speak about a rainbow that appears over the top of the pineal. That is the original ark of the covenant. The covenant that says that the Creator is always with you in the upper room. So when you begin to start understanding what this Bible and all the rest of these stolen information, the stolen legacy, and how they masked redemption through the light codes in these story forms, but with the people in charge of the stories, instead of deciphering them properly so that the species rises, they gave you a religious, or to relegate your consciousness into this fableized nonsense. So you do not have the capability of raising that consciousness because your blood is polluted, and they want to make sure it stays polluted.
Doc, there's internal processes that happen as well as external. And the external is usually a representation of the internal. And when we are able to tap into what's going on internally, I guess it empowers what's happening externally. You talked about the cave of Brahma and this rainbow that appears, right? So with the gay community or the LG or whatever, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, the gay community using a rainbow as their symbol, do you think in a metaphysical sense that gives them power? Because they're using a symbol that represents power. They stole the rainbow from niggas. We
Mhm.
don't want to use the rainbow no more. Now
Yeah.
they using it, so they're tapping into an energy source that we gave up on because they're using us. So do you think that they're tapping into a source, and that's why they were able to rise at a certain rate? Yeah.
Well, no. The Jehudi,
Mm-hmm.
or Hermes Trismegistus,
Mm-hmm.
he wrote a book called the Poimanda,
Yes.
and he also wrote another book called The Virgin of the World,
Mm-hmm.
or it was interpreted by Europeans to mean that. In one of those, I believe it was Poimanda, it speaks about the fact that if you do not sire a child in the physical realm at this point, then you do not psychospiritually comprehend what the Creator is all about. In other words, the Creator created this particular paradigm of existence so that it can actually learn about itself through its own creation. It's like I told my son when he had his son, that you're just looking at yourself now that you're raising your own. And as a father, you are now taking on the responsibility and feeling the type of love that the Creator has for its own creation.
Mm.
That particular feeling is transmitted back because you are imitating the Creator, just like the mother and
Mm-hmm.
that instinct to raise that child, to love that child, to suckle that child.
Mm.
That's nature.
Mm-hmm.
So the basic nature of God is masculine and feminine. And when you activate that principle within you, based upon the particular avatar that you chose to ride in, you are particularly expressing or specifically expressing what the Creator represents. Now, the Poimanda says that if you do not do that, because today they're telling you you don't have to do that, you
Yes.
shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens is they say, the Poimanda states that if you do not do that in your life, then when you come back into the world, you will not know whether you're a male or female.
Oh, I didn't hear that. No, I didn't hear that, Doc.
Well, yeah,
Wow.
that's from one of the
Oh
1,000 books I
shit.
read.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these incarnated beings that coming in are these young incarnated beings or these
Who
incarnated beings that did not
who did not? Yeah, go ahead.
obey.
Oh shit.
Be fruitful and multiply.
Oh shit. And this is from Tahuti,
Yeah.
who we call Tahuti.
Well, well, the Greeks call him Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Poimanda. There's
yeah.
two ways. There's Pymander or Poimander.
All right, I want to ask you, and this is once again, family. I have to continue to plug this. Family, there's the what's going on now. There's the why it's happening. This is the why what's going on is happening right now. This is yo family. This dude here, like I said, I fell asleep. My head hit the desk 20 years ago, listening to Light Code Transmission. So for me to be here right now interviewing this brother about light coach transmission, I'm one of the luckiest dudes alive. Y'all gotta understand how lucky how blessed I am in life. For me to interview Doc and to help the brother because he helped me. You always want to help people that help you. You want to help your mama. Why? Because your mother did so much for you.
Indeed.
I never had a father, but I had a lot of male teachers who helped me when I got older. Whether it was Dr. Minister Lewis, Minister Lewis Farrakhan, or Dr. Valentine, or whoever. These brothers, there's little boys sitting at home right now who don't have male figures, and they see these brothers on the screen, whether it's a TV, computer, whatever form of technology exists at the time, and they look up to them. So I looked up to this brother. Even though I didn't fully understand him at the time, I knew I understood it. I probably understood his information 30%, but I knew it was something that one day I would get, and my spirit told me to just be persistent and consistent with following this brother. And man, I'm glad I did. Family, I really want, you know what I really want people to do? It's not just about this workshop. I really want people to sign up to your university.
Yeah, that's
That's
what we
what I
get
really
to.
want. That's what I really want. That's what I
That's
really want. Because
what
that's
we
when
need.
that's when the heavy downloads
Oh
come.
yeah, oh yeah. And
So
my students, we've had some very, very high level students as well, and
yeah.
across the board.
And
And
I think this, I want to
yeah,
say this, Doc. I'm sorry. I want to say this. I think Doc holds information strictly for his students because of YouTube and everything. And it's to the point, Doc's been doing it so long.
yeah.
Like he said, he was telling people to sun gaze 30 years ago. You want to feel appreciated. To just give all of this out on YouTube, to have a motherfucker in the comment section saying, you a white man, get the fuck out of here, Nick motherfucker. Fuck you, all this vulgarity. You like, damn.
Yeah.
I joined, the brother just told you, he joined the Rosicrucians, he joined this, he did it. He did everything to get this information. You want to be appreciated, you want to get your flowers. And this is why I'm telling y'all, donate to this brother, sign up for his workshop, sign up to his university. The brother, don't Dr. Satan him after he's dead. Make him, oh, I love him. Oh my God, I love him so much. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh my God, I love him. I wish we had more. No. He's here right now. He's here right now. Don't do that shit, y'all. Don't do that because when Dr. Satan was here, y'all did the same thing. Y'all ignored him, and then as soon as he died, oh my God, Dr. Satan, he was the greatest thing we ever had in life. Don't do that, family. The brother is here right now. I need y'all to support. Did y'all hear this today? What we on? We 55 minutes in. This shit was amazing, y'all. And to get the longer version, go to YouTube. They've been like cutting videos out, but the brother with Light Coach Transmission was classic, y'all. I'm gonna put the link right now for the workshop. I just put the link right now, family. Make sure y'all sign up for the workshop to get the up-to-date version of what he's talking about as far as what's going on a conspiratorial aspect, on a governmental aspect, on just certain things you got to do to prepare. The brother gave me a list about a year ago on things to counter the Jabberwocky. You know what I'm saying, on what's going on. And I posted that on YouTube as well as Instagram. So we're gonna be on here about 15 more minutes. We're not going, like I said, we're not gonna be too long. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Like I said, I posted the link. I advise all of y'all to sign up. To continue, Doc, let me ask you this question right here. Let me see, because I want to show. I need to show something. I need to show something real quick, Doc, because this is important. Boom, Doc. Okay, so let's check it out, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
We exist in this universe. Within this universe, there's constellations, there's stars, there's galaxies, there's planets, there's all types of stuff, Doc. All I hear constantly from our people is that, I don't know if you can see this right here, the Sirius star constellation.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, you can see that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we come from here. This is Orion's belt. The pyramids in Egypt are aligned perfectly right here to the Orion belt.
Yeah.
And here you go down, and you go to the left. You go to the left, and you go down. Here's the Sirius. Here's Sirius right here.
Yeah.
Sirius is within the Canis Major, I guess.
The dog star. Mm-hmm.
Yes, the dog star.
Mm-hmm.
Doc, what I want to ask you is that we're in a paradigm. We're in the age of Aquarius. Like I said, we left the age of Pisces. Mm-hmm. Do these, for a lack of better words, and to be ghetto into create emotion, do these motherfuckers move around? Is this star constellation always going to be in this format, or do they move around? Is 100,000 years from now, Doc, is Orion's belt not going to be here? It may be down here, it may be over here. One may be here, one may be here, one may be here. Or does it always stay like this? Is it going to stay like this for the duration? This light bodies. Is it going to stay like this, Doc, for the duration of the existence of this universe, Doc? How does this work?
Well, first of all, this is the first book that humanity learned to read.
Yes.
This is the book of life. Why? Because essentially what it did is, as the dome spun around what they call the Polaris, the North Star, or that central star around which everything rotates. If you notice that these are actually medunechas, they're hieroglyphics. And each time they appeared and became prominent on the dome, there was an influence that the light was transduced through. Now, if you look at them, you'll see that just like a computer circuit, you will see that this is essentially nothing more than a divestiture of certain programs, that each one of these light fixtures, that's what I call them, light fixtures, just like you have light fixtures in your home that give you a certain light, these light fixtures transduce and, what's a better word, formulate and qualify light, so that as they become prominent to us wherever the sun is, their influence begins to give us information regarding how the tapestry of the brain's own what you called synapses. So if you look at them, you see that each one of the dots, which is essentially what look like, they say, stars, these are synaptic linkages to particular light codes that are traveling along a specific vector that we pick up in the brain. Because if you look at the brain and the way the synapses are linked, and you look at the way that the brain's own neurological system is structured, if you can actually get in and concentrate on certain parts, they look just like the stars in the dome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So depending on who your parents are,
Mm-hmm.
where you're born, and what you do, because you're not condemned by your genetics. You can always change it. Genetics are psychoreactive. Your mind can change genetics.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what happens is when you begin to align to your more spiritual self, you find yourself aligning more and more to the tapestry of light that's above us. And you begin to have certain inspirations. Inspire means to inbreathe. The word inspire or breath, to inspire, is Latin for espiritu, which means to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So you become inspired through the breath, because the breath of life is all there is right now. You're not the Mickey D of life. You're not the what is it, the Wendy's of life and stuff like that. None of that is really what you are. You are a light being that uses electromagnetism and transduces information through light and sound waves, using the water in your body as a conductor
Mm-hmm.
to channel light wave and light code information to your genetics that become the program orientation for you to rise in consciousness. So it's up to you how you delete from yourself as much of the earthly poisons that are in your blood, so that the more you begin, people know that when you go on a fast, there's this euphoric for, first of all, it's health, because your addictions come out. It's a withdrawal process. So when you begin to cleanse the body, the first thing that happens is that your appetites change. You
Mm-hmm.
begin to start wanting things that are more alive. Things taste differently. They become more of instead of it dulled by the different spices you use and peppers and salts, these numb the tongue. But when you begin to allow that coating that is created, that the tongue creates to protect itself against all these spices and all these salts and all this crap we take, all of that mucus lining that built up from all of those poisons begins to slough off, and you become so sensitive. You smell things from way away. You taste things. You hear things much more clearer. And so now that your senses become a lot more acute, the light codes become more present in your life. The sun becomes more of a projector of consciousness rather than just light and heat. So you now, by your breath, you're taking in the effluvium or the effluage that the sun gives in the form of plasma. You're breathing that in. That is the food of the gods that you're taking in through the breath. That's why in yoga, and the masters of yoga, the breath was extremely important. The breath is extremely important in raising kundalini. But we are in environments that are so saturated with poisons, not just industrial poisons, but thought poisons. We are living under a saturation of fear. Fear consciousness creates fear molecules that you breathe in.
Mm.
And most
Okay.
people don't know that, because they think that the fear is just a personal thing. No, you're emanating. That's why animals smell your fear.
This is beautiful, family. This is the science of what's going on. What the fuck? I'm sorry for my language. Let me put this link right. Hold on. This dude here. Come on, man. Come on, man. We don't have scientists like this. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Doc. Go ahead. Go ahead,
It's all
Doc.
right, sir.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
It's
ahead.
all right, beloved.
Go
I
ahead, brother.
understand.
Go ahead. You a
So
bad
it's
motherfucker.
well, just kind of wrapping it, that these different names that are given to
Yeah.
these signs of the zodiac, they have different names depending on the culture. Our Ethiopian
Yes,
or
sir.
our Cushitic civilizations that went over to become India,
Mm-hmm.
and the Cushitic civilizations that went on to become Kemet. We
Mm-hmm.
all had different names for them, but they all the ancient melanated civilizations knew that the earth was our mother,
Mm-hmm.
and that the our Father wrote our instructions for what it is that our tasks are to be fulfilled in the spirit, in the stars. So we studied them judiciously. We understood what the day meant. We understood what the change in the weathers meant. We understood when to grow. We weren't really eating until we were isolated in this dome. Remember, everything is water, family.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is water. The air you're breathing is water. It's a form of water. You are a form of water condensed. You are a molecular agreement that consolidated around a purpose. And that consolidation is the intention of the One Most High to know about itself. And as you know yourself, as you grow in knowledge of self, it grows in that knowledge and feeds you your tasks, feeds you your wants. As long as you stay the course, as long as you are balanced and you know love in everything that you do, and you don't expect constant rewards for everything you do, like the European wants you to believe. This is why our world is the way it is. Everybody wants something for doing the right thing. You got to keep doing the right thing. Could you imagine? I found that out. I was supposed to be in music. I was supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
doing my artwork. I was supposed to be
Dang.
even drawing for Marvel
Hey.
comics. But if I did not do this, family, I was homeless for three times, homeless,
Wow.
hungry,
Wow.
didn't have a place to stay because I didn't do. I was pursuing something that my contract said, wait a minute, line so and so says that you ain't supposed to be doing this. You did this in your past life. That's why you do it so good. You can
Yeah.
sing, you can write music, you can draw your ass off. You did that. This was the contract you signed for yourself.
Doc, you know what I want to ask you? What you saying that
Mhm.
everything that what's going on, like we is censored right now in terms of we want to keep this video up. So, but we use words like Jabberwocky or the juice or the
Right.
needle. Everything that's going on right now, Doc. If I have a soul contract, can the parasitic elite, as you call them, can they stop soul contracts? So regardless of whatever my soul contract is, you motherfuckers can't stop it. I'm
Right.
unstoppable. What's
Right.
going on? Am I really unstoppable, or can the parasitic elite understand? Oh, he has a soul contract, so we're gonna get him at an early age. If
Mhm.
he's a genius, bring him to my program. Hold up, he's a genius. Hold on. He passed the Mensa, a high score. Hold up, bring him into this motherfucker. We're gonna whitewash up and erase that. How
But
does this work? Is the soul contract a soul contract, or can they delete that program from your soul contract, Doc?
they can delay it, but they can't
Oh,
delete it.
oh man, delayed. I don't even like that. Go ahead, Doc.
They can
Explain.
delay it, but they can't delete it. You have to
Oh,
understand
yeah.
that the war in heaven is the war up here.
Yes, sir.
And when you understand that mind, is pervasive over matter,
Mm,
right now, the mindset of the planet is based upon the conqueror, whose mindset essentially was based in nothing more than materialism,
mm-hmm,
which is why the material world, which is the satanic world, is all that he and she are, are actually attempting to enhance
okay.
through their AI and their new technological system. And the headquarters for the satanic movement is in Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm.
where the beast right now
Shit.
lies.
Damn.
And
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. That's where the beast is ramping up its countermeasures to the spirit.
Mm.
And so what they want to do is they want to thrill you with certain things that are going to make you think that you're super this and super that. That's why they have a monkey on the string by the name of Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Yes, sir.
Right. This guy is
Is he a
he's
genius? Is he a genius? Is he really a
oh
genius?
he's somewhat of a yeah, he's somewhat of a genius. He's smart enough. But
Mm.
all of that stuff that he's doing is not him. He's just
Mm.
fronting the parasitic elite.
Mm.
And ain't nobody going to the out into outer space and Mars. Mars will most likely be the lands that lie beyond the Antarctic.
Doc, don't we get the word Mars from Mars?
Yeah,
That's what.
yeah. Well, the word Moors actually dovetailed from the Greeks maurus,
Mm-hmm.
which meant that who had ruddy skin or one who is darkened of skin,
Yeah.
maurus. And the Moors essentially took what the Greeks had. Remember, the Greeks were the ones who sat at the feet of the ancient Kemetu after they were destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
The legacy of the Kemites that was scattered returned was returned that information when the Greeks gave the Moors all the information that they took, and they were the repository. The Greeks, they took it from the Greeks and they returned it back to what it was in its glory. The only thing was that they were a warrior class, not
Mm-hmm.
just an intellectual class, but they were a warrior class, and they established the first university, the University of Salamanca in Spain. And at that time, that's when so-called Europe was in the so-called Dark Ages, when they attacked the Moors, destroyed the Moors, drove the Moors out. That's when the Dark Ages started, because the Moors brought the light as we brought the light to Europe. But just to let you know that what we're going through at this point, you can't. They're going to try their best to circumvent you in
Mm-hmm.
your path, but
Mm-hmm.
they haven't. Do you really think that everything we're speaking about right now completely gets deleted from the social consciousness?
Hmm.
It doesn't. Everything you're doing, Rich, is sowing a seed in the ethers, in what is called the akasha. The akasha is nothing but water. Remember, the Doctor, what's his name? The Japanese, Omoro, or what his name was, who said water has memory. So if the akasha is the memory of all the thoughts that were thought by humanity in ages gone by, then it had to be that the thoughts of humanity are imprinted in the waters above, just as the waters below. The waters above are imprinted with all of our information that we need to download, but we can't at this point because it's pollution. They got satellites, they got all kind of crap, and it's not really satellites, it's balloons floating above us. And that's what they're going to do. That's another one of the tricks they're going to use to make you believe that the wrath of God is coming down on you. What's that? They're going to release thousands of payloads of balloons that Google, DARPA, and the Pentagon and the rest of them, they got thousands of balloons floating above us. And what they're going to do is they got these payloads of rocks that they're going to drop to make it look like somehow we have a meteor shower that becomes the signature and the sign of Armageddon. They already got everything planned. They've been playing with people in the South, in South America, doing beta tests with Project Bluebeam. All these lights in the skies and visitations. And look at this. Oh my God, what does that mean? This is them propping us for the next stage. That is to bring everybody under the new world order to fight a common enemy, which is aliens, the ones that they either have a specific relationship with, that they're working for,
Yeah.
that they're now saying, okay, the aliens done gave them their task. We say to get the rest of the humans to get on board for us to invade, you need to use Operation Bluebeam to saturate them, and then they're going to come. They're going to say, "Okay, we got to get the entire country under the New World Order to fight this enemy, and then we're going to defeat them and send them back into outer space." But meanwhile, the new order is in place.
Doc, I really appreciate this conversation. We're getting ready to get out of here.
Yes, sir.
I want everybody. I'm. This is like thoroughly. I really enjoyed this interview. This is. It's like so fun for me to do this for a living. Like this is like I'm truly am a blessed entity. I'm gonna give. I want to. Oh, quick shout out. This is my father, Doc. My father had this before I was born.
Wow,
In the
beautiful,
70s. I was born in the 80s, and it got passed down to me in the 80s.
beautiful,
So
beautiful.
I want to give thanks to my dad for passing this down to me. It got handed down to me when I was born. So they say honor our ancestors, but we don't see that in real time. We
Right.
think it's just pouring this or pouring that. Honoring our ancestors is me giving Me kissing my father's thing and saying giving thanks on live while I'm having a conversation with Dr. Valentine with 3,000 people in the room. So with 3,000 people in the room, I want to give honor and praise to my father, Richard Swift, and I want to
Indeed.
give thanks to whatever genetics he passed down to me to be who I am and to me to have this experience. I love you, Dad. I never got to see you or experience you, but I thank you for this piece right here that I wear today 30 years later or whatever, and I just give thanks.
The
And
legacy goes on, brother. The
like yeah,
legacy
yeah,
goes
exactly. The
on.
legacy goes on, and that's honoring your ancestors in real time. Doc, before we get out of here, last
Mhm.
question. You don't have to be long. A long answer.
Okay.
Have you ever seen an alien? Have you ever had an encounter with an extraterrestrial or anything like that?
Indeed. Well, this is the interesting part about it. I was a
Yes.
youth in Trinidad. I was about 7 years of age,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived near the seashore in Mayaro. For
Mm-hmm.
those of you who are Trinidadians, it's down in the southern part. I lived in a place called Buon Espoir Road. It's pretty much changed everything now. It was very rural. I lived in almost like a hut with my grandfather and grandmother, my sister, when my mother was going to school over here in Bronx, Bronx College or Bronx Nursing School. And one night, um, it was interesting because there's usually a time when the crabs usually come up to mate, the blue crabs, and we all go and get the crabs and we have a feast afterwards. Right after that happened, I walked outside for the, I would say, maybe right at dusk. And you don't usually walk out there like that because you're pretty much almost in the jungle. But I walked out there because I couldn't sleep, and I remember walking out on the sand and looking out at the ocean. Beautiful at night. The moon was up, so I could see, the glistening of the light. And out of the water shot something that kept going straight up into outer space. And I said, "What was that?" And I went to my grandfather
Mm-hmm.
after that, and I said, Grandpa, what was that I saw coming out of the water?" And it jumped up. He said, "Nah, that was flying fish."
Mm-hmm.
I say, "Flying fish?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Fish fly all the way up into the
To the
stars?"
sky, yeah.
And he said, "Well, no." He said, "You must have been dreaming. You must have been tired." Blah blah. I saw it a second time.
Whew.
And that was right there. It was the moon was not as bright as that time, but it was dusk going down, and this shiny thing, it looked like it was a cylinder,
Mm-hmm.
and it had a saucer kind of thing, but it was a cylinder in the middle, and this thing went up, and I looked at it and I said, "No, that's not a flying fish," because it's a
Yeah.
flying fish. And it didn't dawn on me until I came here when I was a youth, and I came from, when my mother and father came and brought me over here to the United States. um, it didn't dawn on me until such time as I started on my path in metaphysics when I was 18 years of age. And then that memory began to come back about me seeing these shiny things flying out of the ocean and up into the sky. And it was a beautiful thing to bring that back, because there's certain memories that you get as a child that just stays with you, and it just needs to be triggered. But yeah, that was my one uh, part of it. The other part
Wow.
was when I got visited. Somebody crawled in the window while
Mm,
I was vaccinated, and I almost died because I couldn't breathe.
mm,
Somebody crawled in the window, put their hand on my chest, and
mm,
I was able to breathe. And then they crawl right back out of the window. I told my grandmother and my grandfather what that was, and they said, "What? Nobody came in the window." And when they went to the window, they saw the window was partly open, and Grandma said, "Well, I closed this." But
mm,
that was something that I recognized and I remember. And I said to my grandmother, "I know that somebody came in and put their hand on my chest. I couldn't breathe. That vaccination almost killed me. But that's where the issue with my lungs came up that I had to heal when I came here to the United States. But that's about my only encounter."
mm. Well, I mean, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you tonight, Doc. I can't wait for your next workshop. Every time you have a workshop, I get excited. So I can't wait for it. I
Thanks.
advise everybody to tune in. It's well worth the investment. I'm going to put the link in the description as well. If you have any questions or concerns, or if you had the last workshop and you had concerns, contact the 1-800 number that's in the description bar. Doc is heavily censored, whether it's Zoom, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram. He's heavily censored. So let's let's be patient and easy with the brother when he's delivering this information, because my channel has got suspended twice from his twice.
Right.
So I know that y'all, but listen, this shit is real. He's not bullshit. He's not just up here bullshitting. Whoa, they mess with. No, they're fucking with him for real, y'all. Twice I got suspended from posting a video from Doc, to the point where I'm like, Doc, we got to do this for YouTube. Let's do this for Patreon.
Right.
We're like strategizing at this point about how to maneuver in this matrix. So we do this for Zoom. He does the workshop. He does a Patreon. He does certain things for YouTube. And that's what you got to do. You got to strategize. You got to play chess. So we're going to do another. If you enjoyed this, sign up for Patreon. We're going to do another interview next week on Patreon. Like I said, that's $5. You could cancel at any time. It doesn't have to be a monthly. You don't have to stay, whatever. But we're going to do something uncensored on Patreon, an introductory uncensored version of his workshop. And then he'll have the workshop. What day is that, Doc? What day is that?
The 27th at 3 p.m.
The 27th is going to be the long version. You know, Doc go on for 6, 7, 8 hours. So, but we're just enjoying ourselves. Family, I just want you to know, listen, 2022, I'm really, really, really enjoying myself. And regardless of what's going on now, you have to understand who you are and tap into who you are. But you also have to understand what you're up against. Right. Doc is delivering. The difficult thing about what Dr. Valentine is doing, he's delivering information that may seem contradictory. It may seem like it's going against each other. It's like a paradox what he's delivering. But that's what the whole world universe is set up upon. Right. So he'll tell you this on a metaphysical level, but he'll also tell you this on a conspiratorial level. But your spirit has to discern what level you have to go on. And that's personal, but there's nobody that could deliver a conspiratorial, what we call a conspiratorial, but we know what it is, in a metaphysical level. I mean, this dude is the truth, man. So I'm just thankful to be on here, family. I'm excited. You know how I act when I get excited. You know how I act when I get excited. Let's get one. I'm gonna get one question before we get on here, Doc. You cool with that?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Let's get one, because we're not gonna be too long, because I want y'all to go on the workshop and the Patreon, because we're going to be a little uncensored on there. We're going to be a little more free on there. Today was the metaphysical, the why things are happening. But let's get one question for the people in the chat. I'm excited, family. I always get excited when I talk to Doc. Like I said, this brother helped change my life. Grew up without a father. So this brother's amazing to the community. Let's see what's going on in the question. What's going on? Let's see what's going on. Give me some questions, family. I want to get a good question on here before I get out of here. I don't want to wait too long. A good question. Don't ask me no bullshit. It's moving so fast. How do you? Okay, I want to ask this. This is important. How do you not judge the thought when it appears? A lot of times we get bad thoughts and oh my God, I'm fucked up. I'm this. Like we come up with all types of judgments, opinions, and this and perceptions and this and that when the thought appears. Doc, according to this gentleman right here, how do you not judge the thought when it appears? Great question.
Because you have to first realize that the thought is something separate from you. It's not you. It's a function of the brain to essentially keep you communicating with the world and others around you to the point where you validate your existence through the experiences that have become formulated as your thoughts. So all your experiences, once you've learned the language, you then begin to coderize or consolidate your experiences through the language and through the feelings that go with the language that create the thought, and even the recall of the thought, memory. So every thought that you have has a emotional signature attached to it. So depending on the particular experience, whether it be traumatic or something loving or pleasant, every time you think a thought and bring back a memory, the memory has a tag, an emotional tag on it that brings back the feeling and brings back that nostalgic sensation of the moment, whether it be fearful, whether it be loving, whether it be traumatic. So, what happens is you have to understand that your brain programmed the thought so that you have a reference point for your existence. But we get trapped in thought thinking that that's really what we are. Thought is essentially a container.
Mm-hmm.
It's a container wherein we place our experiences and then we categorize them the way that they do in a library. And so when a thought comes up in your mind, you think that that is what you are at that moment when all you're doing is being visited by the past, because all thought is of the past. You must now recognize that you are a creature in the now whenever a thought comes into your mind. It is visiting you from the past. When you understand that it is not you, but essentially something that you have surrendered yourself to, you've become accustomed to deferring to your thoughts, not realizing that the observer that is looking at the thought is the real you, not the
Mm-hmm.
thought. But you surrendered yourself to the thought, thinking that that thought is really you, when of course it has something to do with you, but it wasn't you. When you're looking at a thought in your mind, or you're listening to a song in your head, what is listening and what is thinking and what is looking at that thought?
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at the thought. That's the real you. So when you come to realize that you are not the thought that you are observing, then slowly but surely the thought no longer has a precedence or does not have a priority. Some people bring thoughts and make them their priority. Thoughts of pain, thoughts of revenge, thoughts of a lover that has spurned us, thoughts of a job that I need to pay my rent, fearful. All these things come back in the form of experiences that we relive because there is no thought that can ever be thought of the future. You cannot think of a thought that has not yet been thought of before.
Mm-hmm.
All thoughts are you revisiting the past. So when you understand that every time a thought comes into your head, that you are preoccupying yourself with the past, you'll understand that thought is not you because you now have become understanding and understanding that you are in the now, in the presence, and in the isness of being instead of the wasness of being.
Mm-hmm.
So come into the isness of yourself, come into the now, and no longer will thoughts influence you, no longer thoughts will dictate to you. And you'll know that your thoughts are just things that have nothing to do with what you really are. See, who you are is what your thoughts are. What you are is what you are in the spirit.
Ooh, shit. Damn, that's deep. Family, this is what it's about. If you like, if you like this, listen. This is why I like to present the. Oh man, I don't even know. I'm at a loss for words after Doc said that. If you, because that's such mental. What we call mental health is such a big topic in our society in this time. And what
Yes.
the brother just broke down, everybody feels like they, where did this thought come from? I'm thinking about this. I'm the negative thoughts. What he just said. Oh my God. Wow, family. Listen, like I said, this brother, oh man, he's getting ready to do Blood War 22, the Redux. The link is in the description. I'm gonna share one more time. This is what this conversation was leading up to. This is the metaphysical portion. That's my favorite portion. That's my personally favorite portion. Is tonight the metaphysical portion, and I tie it all together when the brother does the workshops. So it's all tied in together. Um, put the link in the description. Make sure you'll sign up for the workshop. Make sure you're listening to this over and over again. We're gonna be doing an uncensored introduction on Patreon for all my Patreon people who sign up to Patreon in a week. But it's going down, it's popping. You're not gonna get that. I'm sorry, family, because of the way the world is. You're not gonna get this. They're just censoring this. So we found ways to bring this to you, but it's not the traditional way. You just got to get the program. If you really want it, you're gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? Just you're gonna invest in it, just like you invest in everything. Just like you invest in the cheeseburgers you eat at wherever you go to eat or whatever, or that weed you get from the weed man or whatever, whatever. But Doc is serving us food that is pure light. So Dr. Valentine, I want to thank you for coming on here again, my brother. It's
Yes, sir.
always a pleasure. I think this is one of the shows that we were just going back and forth. It was a powerful exchange, my brother.
Indeed,
So
indeed.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I loved it, brother. And I look forward to doing a Patreon with you next week, as well as being at the workshop 2 weeks from now. And with that being said, Doc, thanks for coming on. I'm gonna thank everybody. We got about 2,600 people in the room right now. I want to thank all of y'all for being in the room. And with that being said, we will see you next time. You want to leave the people with anything before we get out of here, Doc?
Well, just please be there and be patient because we're under attack all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If we're still doing vaccination exemptions, and I try to get them in as well in between that time if you need them. If you don't worry about it. And listen out for our university. Our next university schedule for our semester is in April. So if you're interested in that, you can call our 800 number, 800-847-1291. Or if you wish to deal with the homeschooling for your children, you can call that 800-847-1291 as well. I want to thank you, Brother Rich, for this kind invitation and the ability for us to address our family. You keep doing this great work. You're a legend. As young as you are, you're a legend around the world. Keep doing your work.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate all the work you've done for the community. Make sure you support this man. If you just want to donate, his PayPal is also in the description. If you just want to show love, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. All right, family. With that being said, Brother Rich, Dr. Valentine, we get out of here, family. Peace.
Peace.
All right.